Welcome to the show, everybody. I am TruePowerIsMine, and this is Special Report.
Welcome, everybody. This is TruePowerIsMine. This is Special Report. Today's date is January 28th, 2019, the year of our Lord. I am so pleased to have some very beautiful people. I'm so happy to say that they are fellow members of humanity, just like me. We're all sharing this experience on this earth. Real quick, I'm sorry that I've forgotten all your names because there's several people over there. I know Christopher's there. Would you just go through and introduce yourself for the audience?
My name is Christopher Stewart. I serve as the archivist and curator of Father Divine's library and museum at Penninnah, Pennsylvania. My name is Sarah from Sarah. I've been involved for years. My name is since around 1939 in some capacity, some
And I thank you guys once again for coming on the
that's who
show.
we are.
You know,
And I thank you guys once again for coming on the show. You know, just right off the bat, I would like to hear it from you guys in your own words. What is the history of the movement?
Well, Father Divine, the first date that we have for Father Divine is 1882, but the first documents that we have for Father Divine are 1912. So in either case, we're talking about a history that's more than 100 years old before when Father first appeared on the scene and the public started to take cognizance of it. And to the followers of Father Divine, Father is God. Father is God incarnate. He is the same soul that was manifest in Jesus Christ, eternally in the fathership degree, which we understand to be the kingship of Christ that we talk about in the New Testament. We understand that Father came to establish Christ's kingdom on this earth by transforming the hearts and minds of individual human beings. We understand that if Father is truly God, He is the self in everyone, and so He is resident in our hearts. And anyone who is truly in love with God and truly moving toward God is following Father Divine, whether they know Him by that name or not. Father Divine was with us in the body, preaching and actively teaching up until September the 10th, 1965. And he did many great works during that time period. In the early days, he went down south and suffered at the hands of 32 lynch mobs and came out triumphant in each and every case. We know for sure that two of those locations were Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia. We know that in 1912 he had a community of followers in Peninnnah, Florida, who called him Father Divine and understood him to be God in human form. And many of those people who met up with Father in the South in those days became lifelong followers, came north and helped to establish this great collective that is the International Peace Mission movement. At the peak of membership, there were over 30,000 direct participants, which makes the Peace Mission the single largest and one of the most successful economic cooperatives in American history. The Peace Mission was also a major force in integration, and whether someone regards Father Divine as God or not, it's objectively true that Father Divine was the single most important civil rights figure between Marcus Garvey and Martin Luther King. The Peace Mission was marching in the streets with thousands of people, parades that took 5 to 6 hours to pass by. In the 1930s. Integrated groups.
Wow.
But setting an example, not just complaining about what's wrong with the prevalent order, but living out an actual sample and example.
Now I can see where people will be like,
That's it in a nutshell.
oh my God, that sounds.
Now I can see where people will be like,
How do you tell
oh my God, that sounds communist. How do you tell people, how do you explain people when you say economic co-op, where people willingly come together and pull their money together? How do you explain that to the average American that would just say that sounds communism or socialistic?
Talking about the facts, it sounds very Christian. The early church is an economic cooperative. Jesus tells the rich man that he must first sell everything he owns, give it to the poor, and then he can begin to follow Jesus. But this is a voluntary movement. Unlike state communism or Stalinism, this is a voluntary collectivist movement. It's a response of the heart. It's something that the individuals participating in have freely chosen to do. So that would be one major point of distinction. But it's not something that you can really easily categorize economically, because it is an original system. It's an original voluntary cooperative system. And so it doesn't really fit into traditional capitalist or communist categories. It does have a little bit of all those. It has the good parts of all those.
Exactly. That I was just about ready to say, because the reason why I would say it has the good parts is because it's actually still here right now. It's still moving forward. You're still helping folks out there. And the beautiful thing about it, you've been doing all this fine work, and you have not been in the news. You know, you haven't been the glory hounds. Oh, look at us! Look how cool. No, you kept your organization low key, and you've been doing the work that needs to be done. Real quick, this is for the young people. If you had the opportunity to tell a young brother or sister in the country or in this inner city, what's one thing they can do right now to kind of get them on the path to a greater awakening? That's what I mean. It begins with understanding that we have a kind of a built-in bias because of the information that has been provided to us has been written by people who want to keep us separate. At the end of the day, after all the hate is peeled away, the very core of that is separation, period. And I know this is a very unpopular topic, even now in the, I guess, the present racial climate of our country right now. I think we should be talking about the things we have in common versus the things we don't have in common, because we truly need each other. We're going to need each other in the end more than you would ever imagine. And once again, that's why I take my hat off to your organization and to what you folks are doing, because you voluntarily standing up for the right cause, for all humanity.
That is correct, sir. We're willing to die, as the human man may say, for that cause. But we are not for any particular race,
Yeah.
creed, or color, or
Yeah, no,
religion.
totally with
We're
you.
for unity.
Totally with you on that.
Yes.
So,
Yes, I'm totally with you.
I
Totally
remember
with you
our
on that.
conversation, Christian.
So
Would
can
you
we,
please share the conversation
I remember our
about the pool
conversation,
in front of
Christopher.
the home there?
Would you please
Why
share the
is there a
conversation
swimming pool in front of
about
the
the
house
pool
that they
in
have?
front of the home there? Why is there a swimming pool in front of the house, the big house?
Well, when Mr. Rogers says go swimming. Well, when this property was acquired in the early 1950s, just across the lane, there was a country club. The country club is still there, but in those days the country club was not integrated. Right across the street there were fancy, beautiful swimming pools that certain Americans could not take a dip in. And sort of as well, definitely as a sample and example, and somewhat as a rebuke to that kind of exclusion, Father Divine put a very conspicuous swimming pool on the great lawn of this beautiful 1890s mansion here that is collectively owned by the church. And I regard it as a symbol of integration, because this was a place that sisters of light and dark complexion could swim together, and at other times brothers of light and dark complexion could swim together. This was not the only place that was done either, and it was done at the Kingston Estate in Ulster County, New York, and Pinebrook, New Jersey. This was because swimming was such a loaded thing in American culture and could cause riots. It was very instrumental in Father driving that point home. Members of the Peace Mission live together, they eat together, they worship together, they work together, they ideally travel in integrated pairs. Ideally, when the numbers allow it and we sit for our Holy Communion banquet, we sit in alternating reflections. And this is a very powerful psychological picture that drives home the point that human beings can do all those things together as family, as the family of God. That's what we are. We are the family of God. We're all God's children. I know that Mr. Leon has another story about a swimming pool. Would you like to tell that? Mr. Leon.
My name is Leon Jenner. I served in the U.S. Army. And when I came home from there to greet father and mother and those at home here, some of the brothers thought because they wanted to go for a swim. And I had just come back. I'm still in my uniform. And I go along with another brother that was in uniform, and one brother that was representing the male that is in action, taking care of the mail, the delivery of the mail. So that 19th and that's on 19th Street, just near Poplar, at that particular mail center. And we all got together. I must have been about 20 of us or something like that, integrated. When I say integrated, I mean people from Germany and France and Switzerland, and myself from America here as a soldier, and the other brother as a soldier, and the other one as a male clerk. And we went up to the Boulevard pool, and it looks like we were going to get in, and the people looked like they wasn't going to sit. And then all of a sudden, it's decided that even me and the other man that was in U.S. uniform still yet couldn't get in. They wouldn't let us in. The others they allowed in, give tickets and give towels and everything, and allow them in, and wouldn't allow us in. So we did put a court order against them, or had a hearing anyhow before certain judge. And I think we have papers here that maybe Mr. Dr. Christopher can find somewhere in the New Days where the statements was made of the judge, just what he thought of what happened there. And he was the one that really pushed the integration a little bit more than we did, although we stood up to it. And we had one of the brothers that was excellent trumpets and he was the one that spoke the most, I think, at that time. But I didn't say very much, but I wasn't feeling so good about it. But anyway, I was fresh from the army, and I thought, well, I'm home now, and I'm back under Father's care, which I had been in since, I guess, maybe 1939 or something like that. And incidentally, in 1939, I could say that a car hit me and broke me up in such a way that today people don't even know that I was cut up and with certain bones broken, certain things like that. One cut on the leg, another one a glass in the eye, and cuts around the eye, and cuts around the mouth, and cuts around the side of each side of the throat like that, and one cut on the neck. Because when the car hit me, I had 2 kerosene jugs. I was across the street in New Jersey there where we lived, and when the car hit me, it broke up those glasses, and I guess it must have dragged me a few feet. And when they did take me to the hospital, I remember coming back in the ward there, and the nurse says, "Oh, he's coming back," and she gave me put some more what do you call that? It's not nitrogen.
That smelling salt or
Smelling sauce?
Huh?
That smelling salt or
No, it wasn't smelling salt. It's stuff tougher than that. It knocked you right out. Ether.
oh yeah, ether.
And they gave me ether, and the next thing I know, they had cast from 1 foot on the left side all the way up the side and around the body, but the belly part of the body, or around the chest part of the body, because they didn't want me to move. That was one of my troubles. I was one of these so-called fast fellas, you know. And they put me there, and of course at that time, that was the time that the World's Fair was about to begin. And I had already made up my mind I was going there. And this made up my mind I wasn't going there. but anyway, to talk about the court case, there we went there for 2 days, I think, to clarify our situation. And we had a lawyer and other things like that. I didn't say very much, but the other brothers really talked about what should be a better situation than what we had. Finally, they decided to let us in there. And when I did go up there, of course, I was in civilian clothes, and the brothers that was not let in before, they were all in civilian clothes. And we did go in, and I went in the pool as well at that time, so that broke that segregation down there at that time. And then we went out in the park and had something like that, and that was broken down too. I mean, that people were allowed all expressions and races, so to speak, and countries was allowed in there. So that was 2 things that Father put forth right there in us brothers. And there was others that did, and if you research in the New Day, you'll find out other places where it was done too, like that, to break down segregation. And I'll get out of the way now and let somebody else say something.
we can also say about swimming, it's not just swimming pools, it's also the ocean itself. The Brigantine Hotel in Brigantine, New Jersey was the first large hotel to be collectively purchased by the Peace Mission movement. And that was late 30s, very early 40s, right? And Brigantine Beach there was the first integrated swimming area on the Jersey Shore.
That's fact. So when you're talking about those dates, because every time you're saying the 1930s, I'm thinking of the Depression, I'm thinking of Jim Crow laws. Honestly, was Father and Mother Divine ever threatened because of him being what is referred to as African American, her being European American or whatever, black or white? Was there any death threats held upon them, like from hate groups or whatever of the time?
So he was a target of law enforcement. I was thinking like fringy. I mean, I'm not naive. I know that there are bad people that serve as police officers, unfortunately, but I was thinking more random citizens.
Yeah, that's now see, that is
Oh, yeah, that's unfortunate. Now see, that is.
I mean, just the level of bravery one would have to exhibit
He's, I mean,
in such a
just
time.
the level of bravery one would have to exhibit in such a time as that. It's almost mind blowing.
And that conviction was ultimately reversed on 32 counts of murder. Appellate.
Wise words.
totally follow what you're saying. All the power on earth is in words.
Oh, I totally follow what you're saying. All the power on earth is in words. Your words have the power to uplift or the power to destroy.
Yeah. And I guess the overall message.
Yes.
The overall message of
And I guess the overall message of the movement seems like it's more than just peace. Isn't there a certain amount of personal, I guess, responsibility, or at least a personal code of ethics? I mean, other than obviously using correct language when talking to your brother and sister.
They have an international modest code, and there are creeds that they live by, and also to live the life of Christ. Live the life of Christ, and that is really what we do here. We live the life every day, every second.
That's beautiful. I mean,
we believe our bodies are the temple of the living God. So you have to live the life every day, every second of the day. Believe that God has personified Himself in you. Be the same as He is. Be the same as if God was standing in front of you, than when He is not in you. Stay the same. Live the life of Christ. It's a way of life. And I think if people can just look at it that way, then maybe it will be easier to do than following, because some people don't want to become religious or become a part of a group or become a Baptist or become a this or that. But if you just learn to live the life of Christ and make it a way of life, remove all the titles. That's why here, Father accepts all religions, all races, all creeds, because Father believes that there one day will be an amalgamation of all religions.
mm-hmm.
So that's the way that we all will come together. Because that's the real goal of all religions, right? They believe in God, they believe in a higher power.
Correct. And there's actually been a meeting, was back in the late 90s, I believe, where the Pope invited the Dalai Lama, he invited a medicine shaman, he invited all these different leaders of all the different religions, and they had a little meeting, and a lot of the evangelicals got highly upset because they are still riding on the separation.
And that's the divide that keeps us divided that way.
Mm-hmm.
Take away those titles, right?
Right.
We're all practicing the belief in one God. There's only one God. One composed of many different names under many different sects. There really is one universal God.
And I don't think anybody can disagree with that reality. I mean, we may call him, whatever name you want, like you just said, whatever name. All these different names of history is coming to me at once. But it's not so much the name, it's the feeling and effect of knowing and serving him. That's where I believe the opening of the physical world comes into play. It's more important for me to believe these tenets, believe these ideals in my heart, than just merely profess them with my mouth.
I know we can't for sure know, but
No, I mean, I know we can't
For sure, no. But pertaining to what's going on right now in this country, our country, what would Father and or Mother Divine say about the wall being built on the southern border?
There's no doubt about that one, Father. Father was calling for the easing of immigration barriers and the unification of the three Americas, North America, Central America, and South America, before World War II. Father Divine was calling for hemispheric unity. Let the Americas unite as a prelude to world unity. Father Divine has said that America is predestined, despite all of the bloodshed and the horrors that have been perpetrated on this continent. Father Divine has said that America is predestined to be the birthplace of the kingdom of God. And it's important to understand that when we say Americanism, we don't want that to be confused with a lot of the belligerent flag wavers that are out there that have a superior attitude or that associate American identity with one race, creed, or color. No, that's not what Father means. Americanism is the amalgamation of all nations, languages, tongues, and peoples. Americanism is this dynamic force that allows people to come together and gives them a place where they can come together and worship God according to the dictates of their conscience. And when you have that freedom to approach God from the inner prompting, and there's nobody outside of you telling you you can't follow that, then the seed will blossom in you and it will flower, and ultimately it will become a living image of Christ. And so we believe that Americanism is a potent force, but we mean the ideals of the Constitution regarding, and the Declaration of Independence regarding individual liberty, the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
We believe that all of these rights that are granted to us in those documents, the ideal expression of them is what we are aiming to achieve. And that's what we mean by Americanism, the ideal, not worship of governments. We worship God. The government ideally would be the instrument for manifesting in the culture of population.
Wow. This is what I love about the truth. No matter if it was spoken 50 years ago, 100 years ago, it still rings true today. That was simply beautiful. I mean, I've always said, I love the concept and the ideal of America. I just hate the way it was implemented. The way it was implemented was wrong. But the truth of personal ownership, the truth of being able to worship in the manner that you see fit, the truth of being able to freely move about, those are, I think, are ideals that we all should be able to band together. I don't care what background you come from. It just as much benefits you as it benefits me to have these collective freedoms and for them to be protected equally amongst all of us. And I think that's the disconnect. So what would Father also say about, I'm sure you guys are aware, in the state of New York, they just made it, they just dehumanized babies, or fetuses if you want to use scientific term, so you can abort them, no questions asked. What would Father Divine or Mother Divine say about the present day abortion issue?
sky, and there's no evidence of anything in the sky, according to the astronauts. So we believe that the personification of Christ is right here on earth, and also the conscious mentality of the state of consciousness would be heaven on earth once everybody reaches that state of consciousness through self-denial
So
and actually
I guess that's what I was talking about.
So I guess that's what I was talking about, is the personal responsibility. And it makes sense. If you're not out there fornicating and all that nonsense, then you don't have to suffer the consequences of that sin. And that makes absolute sense, honestly.
the other cases, like,
I mean,
never.
if there was one thing, let's say that,
I mean, if there was one thing, let's say that, that you had the power to change one aspect to humanity on a global level, and any of you guys can answer this, what would that be if you could change one aspect to humanity? What would you change?
I would say discontinue all racial
any
terms.
other ideas?
Yes. Any other ideals?
Yeah, the one thing that all the people have forgotten, that God asked them, be ye also perfect as your Father is in heaven. And if we can do that, or even attempt to do that, that would be a feather in our cap. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's basically along that lines how I feel as well. What I would hope is that our Father would be able to change the hearts and minds of everybody. You know, I'm waiting for Him to personify Himself in us all. You know, 100% God. 100% God.
Father said the greatest gift you can give is to give a person the gift of God's presence, to recognize God's presence, and that solves all the problems.
That's a beautiful thought, by the way.
I second that one. That was what I was going to say.
I'm looking at
That's a beautiful thought, by the way. That is truly a beautiful. I'm looking at the. I just want to make sure the listeners hear that the greatest gift you can give a person is to personify the being of God in that, or I guess recognizing the being of God in that person, the same being that's in you.
Also, I would like to say that I would change all the hatred in the world in general, and also no dictatorship.
Yes, I agree.
Those two things, because there's individuals currently that it's all about them. They're not really thinking about no one else but themselves. And they really couldn't care less. So the Father's Spirit was never like that. And that's what I believe. I would pray the world with more love without dictatorship. That's it.
Another thing Father said anyway, everyone was supposed to be born just like Jesus. I mean, they were supposed to be impregnated with the Holy Ghost and be born just like Jesus, virtuous and pure. And when you recognize the presence of God and get His Spirit into His mind, eventually it's going to come about no matter how long it takes, because this is why Father came to give us His words and Spirit
Thank you. This is what I mean. When we actually take the time, I know we all have our busy lives, but we actually take the time to have these real conversations, to ask these questions, so that not just for our sake, but the people who could be hearing this this broadcast for years to come, and on the record, there's nothing I think that was said tonight that is out of context or out of a scope. People will say this or people will say that, and a lot of that, as you really look into it, they're just people who are miserable. And guess what, guys? Misery loves company. Do not fall into their trap. If you want to learn something, if you need to learn something, obviously you should read a book. But if you can't do that, then you need to speak to people who have the knowledge, or at least the answers that you're seeking. And most importantly, I think this has been a hard thing for me to do, you have to be willing to accept the answer.
Because one of the brothers over there mentioned something about
and that's because one of the brothers over there mentioned something about astronauts in the last thing, and it's just to tie these two thoughts together, to show you how real God is. No matter if you're in outer space or you're down here on Earth, you're still going to need air, you're still going to need food, and you're still going to need water, the bare minimums. The reason why I say this, I want to illustrate that no matter where you go at in this universe, you are in a condition that only can be solved by work. What I mean by work, you have to get up and dig a well now to get that water, or walk down there to the river. You got to get up now and plant that crop so you can harvest it later. You got to even get up just to build the home to sit your butt down in one day. Everything that we need to fix ourselves requires work, and work is not a bad thing as long as the purpose is righteous. Yes.
When we say that heaven, there's no heaven in the sky, part of what we mean by that is that the real and deep meaning of heaven is that heaven is a state of consciousness. Father said that where a king reigns, there his kingdom is. And Jesus has told us that the kingdom of God is present already and spread out all over the world, but men don't see it. Well, when God reigns in our hearts, we are in the kingdom of God. And when we come together collectively and let God reign in our hearts as a group, we have expanded the kingdom of God, and we have materialized the kingdom of God. I'm going to read you a paragraph here, one paragraph from a 1943 letter from Father Divine, in which he says, "By this you can see the true relationship between Christianity and democracy. The former spiritualizes the latter, and the latter materializes the former. Hence, one cannot get along without the other. It is for this cause that you can see how I have successfully established the true citizenry of millions under the flag of the free. I have supplied the missing link. I have restored man's faith in God and caused the people of this democracy to realize that the freedom, peace, and security of this nation is established in the great Constitution of the United States." Father has also said that true Christianity, true Judaism, true Americanism, true Buddhism are synonymous. That the core of these teachings is to treat our fellow sisters and brothers as we wish to be treated. The golden rule, that's what makes them synonymous. These traditions all embody the golden rule. And the great thing about the founding documents of the United States is that they give a system, a social system, in which we can make that more real. It might have been easy 10,000 years ago in a tribalist society where the government wasn't a big force, but we lost that when we developed these empires.
Yes, the can and put it into that.
Yeah.
I hate to ask you,
I'm sorry. Could you I hate to ask this of you, brother, but would you please read that paragraph just one more time for us?
Father says, 1943, by this you can see that the true relationship between Christianity. By this you can see the true relationship between Christianity and democracy. The former spiritualizes the latter, and the latter materializes the former. Hence, one cannot get along without the other. It is for this cause that you can see how I have successfully established the true citizenry of millions under the flag of the free. I have supplied the missing link. I have restored man's faith in God and caused the people of this democracy to realize that the freedom, peace, and security of this nation is established in the great Constitution of the United States.
Wow. See, he did not say it was establishing the Great Wall of our southern border. I love that paragraph. I do. It's so telling. That should be in every schoolhouse in America. Every schoolhouse. Right after we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we should say the pledge of, what can we say, humanity. And she's correct. Look, we have taken God out of our schools and replaced him with selfishness and anger and frustration. We have taken spirituality out of our hearts and we have replaced it with prescription drugs and quack psychiatry. And this is the consequence. This is the sin that we will collectively suffer unless we do what, guys? We turn away from our wicked ways and realize there's nothing wrong with messing up. I even tell my own 4 children this. There's nothing wrong with messing up, but there's something wrong with staying dedicated to continuing messing up in the same way. We have to change. We're human beings. We can use our brains, we can use our hearts, and we can use our souls. We can change this thing, but it takes a conscious effort on the people to do it.
I'll say to you this. One of the interviews that I had with Father Divine in past years, where I was kind of controversial with statements about people and things like that, Father stopped me right in the middle of one of my statements, and he said to me, remember, the Christ is in every man. And of course, when he said every man, I took that to be humanity. The idea is for you to contact the Christ and the other person, and let the Christ in you and the other persons figure these things out so that you can come out of these different difficulties. Because it is difficulties that we manufacture as human beings.
Yes.
Not what God manufactured. God manufactured righteousness, justice, and truth. But we the people are the ones that did all this other sideline stuff that's got us here messing up with each other like we are, killing, hurting, and doing and all the different things that we've done. So now the time has come that we have to get on this page where we can recognize God in the other person as well as yourself. And the two will be agreeable at some point if we can get together.
That was, I know you guys will understand this concept. I try to say it and some people just don't get it. If you really want to really win a war or conflict or whatever, the greatest victory isn't killing your adversary. The greatest victory is turning your adversary not just into your friend, but into your brother.
You know, a very few interviews I get where I just feel.
I am so. You know, a very few interviews I get where I just feel like the spirit or whatnot. But this is one of them. You know, you can actually feel the realness of what we're talking about tonight. What we're talking about tonight, folks, can literally save humanity. It can literally save this nation. It can literally save our families. It can literally save that little girl who's about ready to get injured right now by some predator out there, because there will be righteous men and women on the lookout. Cops can't be everywhere. FBI, CIA, they can't be everywhere. But good men and women, there's enough of us down here. We can be everywhere if we are on the same accord.
And you know what you said just a moment ago, see, that's because we are at the house of the Mount of the Lord. This is what Woodmont is considered. This is the New Jerusalem. So all the information that you get through here is spiritual information. All the information in the library museum, Father Divine's library museum, is filled with Father's words that will give you a new spirit and new life unto God when you come here. That's what this library is like, the conscious mind of Father Divine. This is where all his words that he spoke are all filtered right here in this library museum. So it's more than just an ordinary library museum. This is a spiritual, conscious museum that is alive.
I just want. I just want to, and I told this to Christopher, because I've talking to Christopher on the phone prior to this, honestly. I just want to and tell all you guys there too that's working with preserving the words and keeping the library. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys understand that some of the work that you guys are protecting and keeping safe is just as valuable as all those books that were burnt up in the Library of Alexandria back in the day. I hope you guys really understand the real purpose, even though you're not up there on the big old glitter board and oh blah blah blah. You guys don't need all that, because you're humble, sincere people, and that's, I just want to say, as a human being, just a fellow human being on this earth, thank you guys for being so selfless to do the work that you do. And
Father Divine is totally selfless. He made no reputation for himself. He said over and over, I am spirit, I am spirit, I am spirit. There's no egotism. Big me and little you, none of that is doctrine of Father Divine or the doctrine of Jesus. Available sometimes to come and enjoy Holy Communion banquet with us and really see the library, not only this conversation, but what you would experience with
awesome. I mean,
light you up.
that would be awesome. I mean, you know.
I am not joking. I mean, I bring my whole family with me. You know?
Yeah, I am not joking. I mean, I bring my whole family with me. You know,
I definitely.
That's how we. I mean, I've definitely did my part on replenishing the earth again. I mean, I'm sure you guys can hear them in the other room. On my show, you always will hear children laughing and playing, because I believe that that's one of the sweetest sounds to my ear as a father. Hearing children, you know they're safe, you know that they're having fun and they're enjoying life, and that's all we have. You know, I mean, on this 3-dimensional, obviously spiritually we have a lot more than that. But I'm just talking about as a simple father and a husband. These little simple things. It's not your son or daughter being the greatest in school or what. No. It's just the fact that they love each other, and that once I'm out of this body and I'm going on, that they will still be a unit. That's all I'm trying to do as far as raising them. You know, in a social setting, obviously in the spiritual contents, a lot more than that.
Yes,
And
they
in
are.
their way, like three-quarters.
Yes, they are. In more
Right.
ways than one.
They're on the same frequency
And
because
you
they're
know, and
standing there and they will
I just want to
ground
get
you.
back to Father, Mother,
Yes.
Divine,
And
You know,
I'm kind of
and
saying that
I just want to get back to Father and Mother Divine, you know, and I'm kind of ashamed that, you know, I had to say this, but I did not even know
actually a listener
about them
was
until I
talking
started doing the
about
show a
my show
couple of years
ideas.
ago. Was
Remember?
actually a
And
listener
they
was talking to me, because a lot of my
updated
show ideas I
the
get from the
website,
listeners,
and
and
I
they
checked it
they
out. It's
um,
like a Google
they
search,
sent
and I was
me
just looking at all the
the
pictures.
website,
And when I
and I,
saw the
I checked
picture
it
of
out. It was like a
Harmonious,
Google search, and I was just looking at all the
peacemission.info
pictures.
movie,
And when I saw the picture of
like
that
I saw the
dining
movie in the
hall,
30s. When I saw
and then I saw a
those
movie
folks,
about it,
twice sitting
I
there,
believe in the
it,
30s.
it
When I
literally, it's
saw
psychologically
those
blew my
folks,
mind away.
black, white, sitting
Because
there eating lunch, it
just
psychologically blew my
think
mind away, because
all
I'm
those years,
very,
these history
you
books
know,
are like
good on
people are
history,
here,
and
they're
I'm like,
eating, they're
they
doing
have
this, and
lied to
all
me
these
all
young,
those years.
that
These
were
history
normal,
books,
like
like, people were here, they were
they
eating
love each
together,
other,
they were loving
and
together,
being
you know, in a normal way, not in any
this,
stupid kind of way. They were loving
this
each
is the
other,
way the world should
and
have been back
being
in
decent human
1972 when I was
beings.
born.
This
This
is
is how the world should
this
have
is
been
the
when
way
I
the
was
world should
born.
have been back in 1972 when I was born. This is how the world should have been when I was born. We shouldn't have all this hate.
I just wanted to say that with my family who came along, it's about four generations ago. My grandfather, my great grandfather was here, my grandfather, then my dad, and then me, then my children were all believers in Father Mine. It was wonderful how in the 1950s, Father had did something that he had never did before for a family, and it really went out all over the world. And when we would come up to Woodmont, me as a young girl, oh, we were treated like celebrities. People were coming up to us, oh, we know you heard the story about the family, and since Father had never did anything personally for anybody. So I'll just tell you a brief story. It was my grandfather was Reverend Charles Boyer, and there was a home in the Forest Hill section of Newark, New Jersey, and it was purchased in the early 1950s by a group of nurses who were followers of Father Mine. When they moved in, the neighbors noted their different complexions and went to the authorities to get them out on the pretext that it was a single family dwelling. Um, we knew it was more than just that it was a single family dwelling. It was because it was the complexions of their skin. So the townspeople wanted them out. The authorities agreed and decreed that the residents must be blood relation to live in that place. So Father understood their motivation, and when he and the nurses agreed to comply, him and the nurses agreed to comply. So Father, complying to the city's rule, put my family in there. And my family was at that time it was 16 children, but only 13 families were able to move into that house. And they were all of one parent. So that was nothing that the townspeople can do. They complied with what they said they wanted them to do. So instead of it being, because the nurses, I believe, were different nationalities. So this, you put one family in there of brown complexion. So you didn't want the motif ones. I'm going to put one family in there, all one complexion. It's about 15 of them, and they put them in there, and the authorities had no legal grounds to refuse them. And what this did, it resulted in the integration of that neighborhood and the schools. The school children were wholeheartedly accepted, and soon the problem disappeared. The neighborhood was not segregated anymore. So Father had the victory.
That is all. You know,
Oh, and my dad was treated in school like he was Christ. uh, the the people of the fair skin loved my family so much. My grandmother was actually a little afraid because the children drew to my family like they were Christ.
you know,
They would crowd him. The fair skinned people would crowd him. So they had to make an announcement over the loudspeaker because so many people were crowding my dad. We have to walk down the hall single file lane now because there were so many students crowding around Robert Boyer.
That's
And that was in the
amazing.
1950s. There was no parties unless one of the fair-skinned people called the house. Oh, can Bobby come to the party? And then, with my family not knowing anything about racism, they didn't grow up with it in their hearts. They went everywhere when they moved in the neighborhood. They
They
went
didn't know no
everywhere.
better.
Right. And so what happened was the other children started to come together
Yes.
to places where they weren't able to go at times. And then the children started to go home and talk to their parents. And so Father, really did a wonderful work there in that segregated neighborhood. You think about it, at that time, they could have been met inharmoniously.
Yes.
Or they could have been doing everything to them to try to get them out of here. But see, when God does something, it's more than just right. He did more than just give them a home. And I'm sure it went even beyond that we even know how many more souls and hearts that Father touched at that time.
Exactly.
But it was really wonderful. And that is definitely a part of Father's history to be told.
That kind of magnetism came from the fact that they were hovered by the Spirit of Father Divine in that time period. That kind of magnetism is because Father's Spirit was with them, and they were willing to cooperate with Father in this work, and so it went smoothly for them, and it was a blessing for all concerned.
It was, and I just want to add this too. When I reached out, it was to you, Christopher, on Facebook. I tracked down that Facebook page. The day that I saw the lunch counter, or not the lunch counter, but the lunchroom scene, and that message had sat there, and it sat there, and it sat there, and you finally contacted me back. And I was blown away. Because after a while, if you don't hear back from a person, you just figure, okay, I guess I'm just too small of a show, or just too insignificant, or whatever the case may be. But it's when I finally made contact with you, and I was actually talking to you, I knew that my patience, it paid off. I knew that this was meant to be, not like in a some sort of business sense. No, none of that. But it was right timing. This is what it's all about. And I just want to say, just on the record, and normally I try to keep it an hour show where it's a few minutes over, but I just want to say, just thank you. I'm going to send you this link. If the audio, for whatever reason, my equipment here is not the best. This is $1 million studio by no means, but I hope that the audio, I did test it right before the show. To the listeners, if there's any problems, the kids got a little louder, I just want to say I'm sorry. But this will not be the last time we have this conversation. This will not be the last time I will have them back on the show. And hopefully by then we will have what we need to make the audio on par with any professional outfit situation out there. But at this time, I just want to be quiet. And if you guys have anything you guys want to share pertaining to Father Divine, the movement at all, or just a statement in general, please at this time feel free to say whatever you like.
Can I give you one more letter from Father Divine that wraps up several of the points that were raised tonight?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, this is a letter from Father Divine, 18th of March, 1943. Father says, your letter of the 17th has just come to hand, and I am indeed glad to know that one who is now my follower has liquidated an indebtedness of many years' standing. It is not a shame, is it not a shame, that work such as this should be denied recognition by the press and authorities, that I might be allowed access to lead the nations of the earth out of vice and crime, sin and debauchery, war and strife. Those who desire to live selfishly and cling to the prejudices of their ancestors realize that I am a threat to all unrighteousness. Hence, they do not desire to see me and my work and mission advance. The authorities of cities and states, and even the federal governments of other nations as well as this country, know that I have lifted millions and millions off the relief rolls and out of vice and crime of every kind, causing them to pay their honest debts and express the perfection of American citizenry. I stress Americanism even for those who are of foreign birth as the highest light of political understanding given to man. For according to our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence, true Americanism grants equality, liberty, and justice, and the right to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. Thus, by living the principles of true Americanism and enacting and bringing to fruition a real democracy, I have brought millions of every nation, language, tongue, and people together in the unity of the spirit, of mind, of aim, and of purpose to enjoy the reality of happiness which the nations seek. Naturally, such blessings as my followers enjoy do not come about without self-denial. They require the denial of prejudice, of graft and greed, of hatred, jealousy, and strife. In short, it means the denial of all the characteristics of Hitlerism, which are in opposition to the spirit and meaning of true Americanism. You cannot have true Americanism without equality. Hence, those who refuse to grant equality to every citizen under the jurisdiction of this government, where equality is constitutionally granted, are not Americans in spirit and mind, but they are aliens to democracy and allies of Hitlerism. My stand for real democracy, by my stand for real democracy, you can see where the shoe pinches those who do not desire to walk in the path of true Americanism, and you can tell those whom the shoe of equality pinches, for they do not want to see the promulgation of my work and mission. However, it is not by power nor by might, but by my spirit that I shall accomplish my endeavors, even as I have already caused millions of every so-called race, creed, and color to unite together and express the perfection of honesty, morality, and virtue. So shall I cleanse the nations of the earth of unrighteousness, for I am daily showing all humanity how to curb vice and crime, and how to end war and strife through the unity, harmony, and cooperation of all people. And Father closes most of his letters with this blessing, this affirmation. As I advance this truth, I would that all mankind might become to be, even as this leaves me, as I am well, healthy, joyful, peaceful, lively, loving, successful, prosperous, and happy in spirit, body, and mind, and in every organ, muscle, sinew, joint, limb, vein, and bone, and even in every atom, fiber, and cell of my bodily form. Respectfully and sincere, I am Reverend M.J. Divine, better known as Father Divine.
Wow, that was so beautiful. That's the first time I ever heard those words, guys. To you guys, you heard these every day, but I'm literally almost about ready to cry here. That has touched me that much. The words are true. I mean, you can tell, and the way I can say it is true because if you really break down what he's saying either you give up the old ways that don't work and you embrace the new ways that will work. And I hope and I pray that this broadcast tonight hits the right ears so that they don't have to go 40-something years before they hear or see a glimpse of the light. They can get it right off the bat at 15, 17, 18. You know, because the demographics on the show, we typically deal with guys that are 18 to about 34, that age range. And women. I am pleased to say that last month the show was like 97, 98% male viewership. Something amazing happening. The ladies are catching on, and now us guys, we're only down to 85% viewership. So it's a good thing. That's a good thing, because the message that I want to promote and propagate is one that does include women and children and everyone. Everyone plays a role in this, because I truly think we have given all these unrighteous things a shot. I really do believe it's time to implement the United States the way it should be, and we will be okay if we do that. So, right now in the past 28 days, I have 50,000 views on the channel. Basically, I'm more interested in the watch time minutes. I know that a lot of people they want the viewership, but what good if a person clicks on your deal and they leave? They don't even listen to it. I'm pleased to say in the past month, the past 28 days on my channel, we had 1,200,000 and something thousand watch time minutes. That means people are sitting down and they're really looking at the material. Yeah, so I mean, and this is, and once again, this is not me at all. I don't take any of the whatever. This is because I believe that people are tired of these canned, pre-made news shows or talk shows that are just so scripted. Everything that has happened tonight, this whole dialogue between you folks and myself, has been honest and sincere on both sides of the phone here. No one's out here trying to deceive nobody. Nobody's out here trying to lie to nobody. We're just reaffirming that I think we all want to see peace, prosperity, and happiness and goodness for our fellow brothers and sisters. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we can be found at peacemission.info. We can be found at worldwideweb.libertynet.org/FDIPMM. That stands for Father Divine's International Peace Mission Movement. We can also be found on YouTube under the channel Father Divine Information. And on Facebook we have two pages. One page, Reverend M.J. Divine, and FD Library Museum. Those would be the two ends of the Facebook addresses for those two pages. So that they could search for, on Facebook, they could search for Father Divine, or they could search for Father Divine's Library and Museum.
Gotcha.
Father Divine's page has devotional content and lots of wonderful quotations and photographs from Father and Mother. And the library page tends to focus more on the physical collection that we have here. And I would like to say that this collection is a very large collection. We believe that when everything is finally cataloged in about 10 years, there will be over 1 million pieces. This is a very large collection, and if you do, for those that would consider it a collection dedicated to a dark-complexioned American, it is probably one of the 3 largest collections dedicated to any dark-complexioned American. Over 50,000 letters from Father Divine, at least over 250,000 photographs that document Father's life, Mother's life, and the life of this wonderful integrated collective.
That's so good.
It's a national treasure. Whether the people are drawn to the idea that Father is God or a spiritual authority, they're Americans, and this is part of their history.
Exactly.
And they should be aware of it.
I love, Christopher, I loved how you said that at the end. Irregardless of what you view in his spirituality level or whatnot, he is an essential part of this collective experience called the American society that we all participate in. And if you're going to learn about some of these other Americans, I think it would behoove you to also learn about this also fellow American as well. Well, I just want to say, just hold on the line, guys. I'm just going to end this, and then I want to talk to you guys just a couple more moments after this. But thank you, everybody. Once again, this has been Special Report. I have been so fortunate to have this panel tonight from Father Divine's Peace Movement. And please join us again. I don't know the next show's coming up per se. But as always, live your life with integrity, without hate, envy, or greed, and let's try to be kinder to each other. Peace. Thank you all.